Hello and welcome along to continued coverage of GP Birmingham. My name's Riley Knight. You're in the booth with me, and alongside me, the four-time Pro Tour Top 8 competitor, Moraine Laibert. And on your screen, we have some people, as we've mentioned previously, Moraine, fighting for their tournament lives. They are hoping to stay ahead of this race for top 8, and Rasmus Sebust and Steve Hatter, Jakob Voigtster and Tony Ramis Pascual with Storm and Counters company. Storm is a deck that's flown under the radar, Moraine.
Yeah, we've seen a couple of it last round. Actually, two of them made their way to 10 and 2, and I believe both of them won. And this is another player on it, so 11 and 2.
Wow.
Oh no, one of them lost last round, but this is the second one. So at least two of them are at 11 and 2. Still a strong deck. I don't think it has the best matchup against Dead Shadow, but it can still win because Empty the Warrens is actually quite good, and Grape Shot out of nowhere can do a lot of work as well.
And also has a fair bit of play against Scapeshift, of course. Scapeshift struggles enormously against combo decks, and Scapeshift has been reasonably popular throughout this weekend. But I tell you what, one of the breakout decks, on my mind at least, for this tournament has been this Counters Company deck. Nearly all of the pilots who have brought this deck have put up very, very good results. We've had a lot of the Scandinavian players in the top tables doing a very good job of getting it done here. And Tony Ramis Pascual, I'm not sure exactly where he's from. I guess not from the frozen wastes of the north based on that last name, but he is also fighting with his noble hierarchs in his kitchen finks, and he's done very well to get himself at 11 and 2.
Yeah, but this matchup is probably not one he wants to face with top 8 on the line. Main deck, you basically gotta hope that you combo quicker than the Storm deck, which is very hard. But it is doable. The Devoted Druid, Vizier of Remedies, if you just draw both of these pieces, you can combo as early as turn 3. So it is possible, and we see the Court of Calling. So he might actually be doing it. He is taking 1 damage to play that Devoted Druid. So actually he's gonna combo on turn 3 if Jakob taps out. If there's no remand, Jakob might be dead. Gifts Ungiven, Baral. He doesn't have the remand. Is he gonna lose on the spot? Duskwatch Recruiter seals the deal.
Storm is just one of those decks like the old cockroach trying to stomp into the kitchen floor, and it just keeps on getting up, keeps on struggling and squiggling itself about. And this is the newest technology brought to bear by the Storm deck, of course. Baral, in addition to Gifts Ungiven now, the old value gifts can really help things jog along for the Storm player. But look at this. Pascual has the combo online. He now has infinite mana. What is he going to do with this mana? That remains to be seen. Untap, tap, tap, untap, all that sort of stuff going on. The combo between Devoted Druid and Vizier of Remedies, very well known indeed. Now in Court of Calling, the follow-up play, as you said, Moraine.
He's going to get Duskwatch Recruiter, and with infinite mana, he can keep on revealing all of his deck, and then eventually he'll find Walking Ballista still on infinite mana. He will just kill his opponent out of nowhere. That's the power of the new combo. I mean, the other combo was a little bit slower. It was Kitchen Finks, it was 3 mana, he needed the Anafenza and a Sacrifice Outlet. Now with Devoted Druid and Vizier of Remedies, it's actually very quick. I mean, we see it here, turn number 3, and there is already the Walking Ballista and the Scoop.
Look at that, a turn 3 win here for Counters Company. Now, we talked a little bit about the fact that the Storm matchup wasn't good against the Counters Company deck, but all of a sudden, it's just a win out of nowhere, Moraine.
It might have actually changed because of the printing of Vizier of Remedies. The Counters Company deck got a lot faster. I mean, before, you got to rely on the Kitchen Finks, and then Murderous Redcap was the turn after only. And now you got this turn 3 kill, which might actually be quite consistent, because you got 4 copies of Devoted Druid, 4 copies of Vizier of Remedies, and 4 copies of Court of Calling to search the missing piece.
And obviously, Duskwatch Recruiter, another hugely important part of this combo. I mean, you know, you'd look at a Court of Calling and you think, well, if it can pluck any card out of your library, you can just get the creature you need. But you need the Duskwatch Recruiter because, of course, Court of Calling, no good at plucking the old Walking Ballista out of your deck. That isn't the way that you get to do it here. So Pascual picks up an early win, steals a win from under the snoot of Jakob Voigtster here, and I imagine he's going to be very happy with that. Because, of course, Storm relies on many of these, it's not quite a Game 1 deck in the same way that Dredge is, but all the same, it certainly gets a lot harder after the sideboard.
Yeah, although in this matchup, he might actually get a little bit better because he is going to bring in 4 Lightning Bolts. He needs some more interaction against this combo, and Lightning Bolt is the perfect answer. 1 mana, disrupt your whole plan is great. This spell might actually come in as well, Echoing Truth, so he has got quite some cyber cards. He will need to find a way to make room for these. If we look at Tony Ramis Pascual Cyber, he's got a Sin Collector and 3 Tide Hollow Scholar, so he's also got quite a strong Cyber. Then again, the Scholar becomes a lot worse when your opponent has 4 Lightning Bolt.
As indeed does Aethersworn Canonist. Aethersworn Canonist, I think, probably the absolute key marquee card here in terms of shutting down the Storm decks. Interesting to see that he's picked that rather than the Eidolon of Rhetoric, which of course is proof. It's immune to the Lightning Bolts. But
2 mana instead of 3.
Yeah, it can be very, very important indeed, but I know that Pascual will definitely be bringing in the 2-2 there. Even Mind Sensor also, are you thinking about that, considering your opponent is also almost definitely playing Gifts Ungiven?
Yeah, actually, good point. Gifts Ungiven against Haven Mind Sensor. You just got to reveal the first 5 and then pick 4 of them?
No, the first 4.
First top 4. Yeah, top 4 gifts.
Yeah.
Well, it's something. I mean, it's still card advantage.
Well, Pascual having to think about how he's going to position his deck after sideboarding, as indeed does Voita. Let's have a look more closely about the sideboard of Storm decks, because of course, Moraine, an important thing to remember when looking at sideboarding with Storm is that you cannot sideboard too much. You can't take out too many of these engine pieces. This is not a clear sort of deck where these you can really hugely reconfigure yourself.
Tony didn't sideboard his Tidal Color, so wow.
It's interesting.
If he's not sideboarding it in this matchup, then what matchup is it for? I guess Living End, the more ad nauseum, the decks that don't have removal for the 2-2. Maybe he's aware of 4 Lightning Bolts coming in. I mean, it would make a lot of sense. It's not a good card against Lightning Bolt, that's for sure. Because if you Tidal Scholar and your opponent is holding the Lightning Bolt, you kind of have to take it.
In which case, it hasn't really done all that much to disrupt their game.
And if he doesn't have it, you take another card, and then there's a fear of him drawing the Bolt when he needs the card underneath the Scholar.
Often we'll see cards like Duress, or even today, Collect Brutality really favoured. But of course, with Counters Company being the creature-based deck that it is, you're looking for ways to disrupt the hand and also add to the battlefield. But as you say, against 4 copies of Lightning Bolt, it is a little bit of a liability. Other options for Jakub, and I mean, certainly we won't be seeing all of these brought in, but 2 Blood Moons, 2 Dispels, Echoing Truth, 2 Empty the Warrens, in addition to the 4 Lightning Bolts, 2 pieces of the puzzle as well. Bit of draft chaff finding its way into Voita's deck here, and 2 copies of Shattering Spree. Obviously not interested in facing down Affinity without them. Tony Ramis Pascual, in addition to this pretty tight 60 that he's brought, obviously some configuration options for him in the form of Aven Mind Sensor, Abrupt Decay, Aethersworn Canonist, Ed Kentucky War's Wage, Orzhov Pontiff, Path to Exile, Sin Collector, Tide Hollow Scholar, Tireless Tracker, and a spicy one in Loaming Shaman.
Yeah, Loaming Shaman, actually a very good cyber card against the blue-red deck. It makes you shuffle back any number of cards from your opponent's graveyard, or target player, could even target yourself. So it's actually quite good against Past in Flames. If he goes for that, you just respond, Court of Calling for 3, shuffle back everything. Nice Past in Flames you've got there.
Highly interesting art on Loaming Shaman as well. Maybe we'll get a look at that card at some point in the future, because I tell you what, I don't know what's going on there. He's like digging through a pile of bones. He's got a beautiful beard and a wonderfully manicured haircut, but he's a bit of a dirty boy as well. He's got bloody stringy muscles with dirt all over them. I don't know what's going on there. Some kind of groundskeeper Willie that's just come back from the barber with a fresh do. But I would imagine that the Loaming Shaman may get some work done if Pascual can leverage it against Voita here. But we're off to the races with these 2 players getting ready to do battle. Birds of Paradise opening things up, cantripping on the left-hand side of your screen, Voita. And now we continue. Now, being on the play is going to be a huge advantage for Jakub here.
Yeah, it is. It makes that he can actually tap out on turn 2 to play the Electromancer. Last turn we saw he had the Electromancer or the Baral, but he couldn't play it out of fear because of the Court of Calling combo. And now we're going to actually see another very quick game here, maybe. Turn 2 Devoted Druid, but there is the Lightning Bolt, so he is ready. Jakub is ready.
Voita does have the answer to this particular question that Pascual is asking. But, I mean, Game 1 highlighted the need for disruption in this format. Modern is a deck that will punish anyone who's trying to goldfish, of course. You don't always have the opportunity to do whatever you want with your cards, and certainly some measure of interaction, whether it's removal or counterspells or whatever else, very, very important in combating decks that, when left unchecked, will take over the game at a moment's notice. So, Voita.
And this game already shows how important it is to know the format. For example, if Blue-Red Storm would always board in a couple of Anger of the Gods, it would not be a great thing to do to play Burst Devoted Druid. But I feel like Tony Ramos Pasquale, he knows the format, and he knows that he can just overextend, and there's no fear of Anger of the Gods happening.
So Voida is kind of holding Pasquale off from reshuffling his library, as I think we're going to see a...
is he going to win this turn?
I'm going to see a Gifts Ungiven. And this Baral is meaning everything is cheaper, and that as a result, we're getting huge amounts of mana generated from this Pyretic Ritual. So we see the mana count on the bottom of your screen, the storm count on the top. And this is going to help us keep track of how much of each colour of mana we have. Storm count at 2, as we see now Gifts Ungiven.
You can see that Jakub has done this a billion times before.
Yeah, and he will find a gifts arrangement here that is going to mean that more or less whatever he does, whatever his opponent does, he's going to get the cards that he wants. And we see Past in Flames a huge part of that. So it's just Ritual, Past in Flames. So 2 rituals hit the bin. Past in Flames goes into the hand here. Now, is Voida able to continue from this point onwards?
I'm not sure he is.
He can make 1 mana with the Metamorphose, of course, and put himself up to 2. Which
does he have 1 left or 2 left?
He's got 1 mana left.
Seems to be 1. So we can go up to 2, 3. It's not enough, right?
So 1 mana Metamorphose puts him to a red and a blue. Draw a card. Finds a Goblin Electromancer.
This is the stop, right? Maybe it was a little bit too quick to go for it. Well, it's still not too bad because he did
He can cast another Gifts Ungiven here.
Yeah, but then he's empty. Yeah, he's definitely not gonna go for another Gifts Ungiven. He needs to keep up that Lightning Bolt. Might just go for Lightning Bolt and keep up Dispel. I think that's the right play from here. Or he could just play the Electromancer and keep up both Bolt and the Dispel. A bit surprised to see him go for it this quickly. Well played by Tony Ramis Pasquale by not giving him the rituals.
Lightning Bolt on the Devoted Druid.
Yeah, keep up Dispel. I like it.
That is just about it. So, of course, we could have seen the Goblin Electromancer cast there, but Voita, as you said, looking to keep up Dispel. What's he worried about with that Dispel?
Collected Company and Court of Calling. Pretty much the only target. I guess you could see some decks sideboard in Path to Exile against Baral, which might be a thing.
Aven Mind Sensor has indeed been brought in for Pasquale here.
That might actually be the reason why he did it this quickly, the Gifts Ungiven.
Could be worried about disruption in the form of that, because this next Gifts Ungiven is going to be pretty awkward if Pasquale is able to flash in his Aven Mind Sensor. But after playing a land with 5 mana available and just saying go, Voita can smell something. Something doesn't smell right.
Some rotting bones.
Something's going on for sure here. Voita continuing to cheapen his spells here with a Goblin Electromancer. And he's playing very careful as well. Sitting behind this Dispel's got to be a good feeling for him, Moraine.
Yeah.
It's Pasquale. Down to 15 now.
And Dispel will also trigger the Brawl.
Oh, hello. Bit of extra value there. Oh, geez, look at those eyebrows bounce up and down. Moraine Libert, you're loving it. So does Pasquale go for it here?
Even Mind Sensor, not an instant though. Even Mind Sensor, not an instant.
No.
Can be played at instant speed, but not going to be able to dispel that one. Collected Company, on the other hand, that's the card you're looking to counter for 1 blue mana.
Walking straight into it here, Collected Company. Voita is not going to have to think too long before snapping off this Dispel, you would imagine. 1 blue, and no thank you, he says. Trigger from Baral. Draw a card, discard a card. Finds a Flooded Strand. His hand at the moment, Serum Visions, Past in Flames, Gift Ungiven, and this Flooded Stransky. What are you binning here? The land?
The land or the Past in Flames. Definitely not the Serum Visions or the gifts. I would be quite surprised. Oh, yes.
Serum Visions hits the bin here in addition to that Dispel, and it's back to Pasquale. Jakub Voida hits the old F6 button here as he is tapped out. But Pasquale doesn't have too much to work with. He's going to play his 4th land. It's Gavany Township. An interesting one here.
Yeah, next turn he can actually...
Here's Anafenza.
Yeah, he can actually go for Past in Flames. And then have the Bolt as a flashback option in response to the Aven Mind Sensor. If he goes for gifts, it might end up at the wrong spectrum of it. But if he goes for Past in Flames first, then he will have the Lightning Bolt as a backup.
So Anaphens Kintree Spirit is another one of these Vizier or Malira type effects that interferes with the -1/-1 counters of cards like Kitchen Finks, but obviously doesn't work with Devoted Druid.
He's also got to be afraid of Court of Calling into Eaters from Canonist. He's got to be aware of that. So he might just go for the safer play. No, he's going for Past in Flames, and I think that's the winning play against Aven Mind Sensor.
So Past in Flames costs 2 here, thanks to the reduction abilities of both Baral and Goblin Electromancer. We're going to see the dice come out once again here for Jakob Voiter. So Past in Flames has given everything in his graveyard flashback. And given the fact that these rituals are much cheaper, they're going to generate a lot more mana. And of course we can even see Gifts Ungiven cast for not very much.
They're not going to generate more mana, they're going to add more mana. No?
Sure.
Because they still generate 3, no? Grammatically?
No, you're right. You're probably right there. So we're going to use we're going to use the big boy dice here to make sure everything's nice and clear on camera.
2 storm, 3 red,
3 red, being added.
1 red to play the ritual.
Up to 5. And we've got another ritual here. So the storm count rising ever higher here as Pasquale has to just sort of sit on and watch as this all unfolds.
Pasquale has to hope that Jacob wastes his lightning bolt.
So we're now going to see some blue mana added thanks to the Manamorphose here. Draws a card, finds a Scalding Tongue. He's already played a land for this turn, so that's a bit of a dudski there for him. Looks like we're going to see Past in Flames cast from the graveyard here. Yes, indeed. And in response, we have Aven Mind Sensor, so that is going to put a spanner in the works here of Gifts Ungiven. But of course, we can Lightning Bolt it before with the gifts still on the stack.
And the Anaphens trigger on the stack.
So, Gifts Ungiven now, resolving. Cast for just 2 mana. What a bargain.
Yeah. Just a Grape Shot. Grape Shot. Another Past in Flames. Well, it can just flashback the one that's in the graveyard.
So it looks like we've got Pyretic Ritual, Manamorphose, Grape Shot, and Desperate Ritual. And as you say, Moraine, of course, there is also the Past in Flames in the graveyard, which can be flashback as well.
Because the Grape Shot and the Manamorphose won't have flashback just yet, because the Past in Flames has already resolved. But he can still flashback the one in the graveyard to give these 2 cards.
So this shouldn't be too much more difficult for Voiter to get to 15 storm count here. As the storm count already sits at 8. Plenty of mana, plenty of cards. Another Gifts Ungiven for Voiter as well. So he's got plays for days. And this is the danger of giving the Storm deck enough breathing room to go off here. I'd say Voiter, very, very low chance that he isn't able to stitch together a win here. Doesn't look like Pasquale has remembered to bolster either. Not that that's going to be hugely relevant, Moraine.
So if it's not a mistake, if it doesn't matter, is it still a mistake?
I don't know. I'll leave that to smarter people than me to figure out the answer to that highly philosophical question.
I don't think this is not a mistake.
Storm count at 9.
Missing this bolster was not a mistake.
Storm count at 10. So Gifts Ungiven now. Oh no, it's just going to be Past in Flames from the graveyard. Flashback all of these cards here as well. Storm count 12, 13, 14, and the Grape Shot for 15.
And the Serum Visions.
Of course, all sorts of options available for Jakob Voiter. So the Storm player gets up in game number 2. Pasquale is unable to fight his way through the menacing proposition of a Grape Shot for 15. Even after having brought in some disruptive cards in the form of Aven Mind Sensor. Moraine Laibert, just as you suggested, Lightning Bolt was the card that turned that match around.
Yep, that was without the lightning bolts. This game would have gone to Tony Ramis Pascual.
There we go. That's the way it goes there. We're going to take a quick break, come back with game number 3 and find out who is going to win between Voita and Pascual. Stick around, because on the other side of this, more Storm, more Counters company. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the feature match area here at GP Birmingham. Riley Knight along with Moraine Liebert here.
Moraine-san.
Moraine-san, it's great to have you, my friend. Arigato.
You're welcome, Riley-san.
Jakob Voita and Tony Ramis Pascual also with us in the feature match area. We've seen these guys go 1-1 so far. Ramis Pascual comboing off before the Storm player was able to in game number 1. And Voita getting up and about in the second game, very tidily executing his Storm combo without Pascual having too much to say about it. Here, however, We could see a very different thing. Of course, Pasquale on the play is going to make all the difference. His hand looks to be pretty reasonable. Voita thinking about what he wants to do with these cards here that he's currently scrying with, thanks to Serum Visions. Looks like a land and a grape shot. Go on, sorry.
His hand is not very good, but I think I like the grape shot because it can actually kill the Noble Hierarch and maybe even a couple of more creatures.
Well, grape shot stays on top here.
He does have a lot of lands and rituals, not much else.
He's got a bolt as well. Chose not to deploy that one.
Get in there.
Noble Hierarch providing the beats.
The good old 1/2 mana elf.
Yeah, that's it. Get in there, mate. In she comes, old Grandma Hierarch, and Pasquale now looks to make another play. Drops himself down a further couple of points of life to snag himself this Temple Garden. Down to 15 already.
Almost time for Death Shadow.
Almost. Tidehurler Sculler in his hand. Is this what we're going to see
So he did bring them in.
into the battlefield? White, black, and yeah, look, Sculler you. The little man in the canoe is getting up and about here, going to snag a creature out of Jakob Voita's hand. So Pasquale writing down the contents of the hand. What do you think of this hand here, Moraine? Rituals, bit of
It's a little bit
bit of lightning bolting going on.
Yeah, it's a little bit too much lands and too many rituals. Too many lands.
Yeah, not
rituals.
enough. Not much
No
in the
gifts,
way of
no
business
passive
here.
flames. He's the grape shot on top, which doesn't do anything either. Well, it doesn't. It does free up the card underneath Sculler, but that's about it. You gotta waste maybe even a ritual to do that.
So Pasquale here, what is he taking? The lightning bolt?
He's gotta take the lightning bolt. I mean, if he takes, then he just loses his color to the lightning bolt. Now Jakub can actually play a second land, ritual, Metamorphose, grape shot the two creatures, get back his lightning bolt, which is a strong play, but he will lose a lot of resources to that.
He has to commit a fair bit in order to do that. Grape shot off the top. We saw that, of course, scried with the Serum Visions here. And you would imagine the life expectancy of this Tidehurler Sculler and the Noble Hierarch. Are they on borrowed time here, Moraine?
Yeah, I'm guessing maybe this turn, maybe next turn. I think next turn makes a little bit more sense because you're not under that much pressure, and then you get more options. And also, if you draw, for example, a Serum Visions now, you cannot play it to generate more Storm.
Well, we're seeing Metamorphose here. Gifts ungiven off the top. One blue, one red for Voita. And it looks like we are going to see a bit more ritualing going on. So 3 red in pool. And it's Grape Shot, just as you said, Moraine. So he's going to get back the Lightning Bolt, take care of those 2 creatures. And a 2-for-2 trade here for Voita and Pasquale. Although I guess the Lightning Bolt comes back, so maybe that snags another card for Voita. Ooh. Tidehurler Sculler off the top. It's a nice rip.
Let's take a look again.
And Voita forced to show once again. Not too much has changed, just Gifts Ungiven now, joining the fray. Do you have to take the bolt again?
In this case, I might actually take Gifts Ungiven. Problem is, if you take the bolt, then Jacob just goes ritual gifts. If you take the gifts, then he has to bolt first, and he cannot do that turn, that play, because he would be 1 mana short. But he values the 2/2 higher than keeping Jacob off that turn 3 Gifts Ungiven.
Well, right on time, Voita rips another lightning bolt off the top of his library here.
A mismatched one now.
Yeah, it is. Same art, but the one on the screen there has flavor text, whereas the one in his hand is not. And I saw a player rewards version of the lightning bolt as well. So Voita's bolt game is all over the shop. He's just gone down to the hardware store and grabbed a handful of bolts without even looking if they're the same size, Moraine. Bolts are different gauges.
No attack.
What's going on here? Baral, Chief of Compliance off the top.
What is he afraid? Snapcaster Mage? Why don't we attack here?
Pasquale going right through his turn without attacking. Keeping a close eye on the cards in hand for Voita. 2 mana. And here is the Chief of Compliance.
Jacob's draws have been really good after that second Scholar. Even better after the first one. I mean, he drew gifts. Now Brawl. He drew the second ball to free up the first one.
Collector company now for Pasquale. What can he find amongst the top 6 of his library?
Ah, that's a good one.
Sin Collector. Yes, please. That's certainly going to enter the fray in addition to this Devoted Druid. That's a key card here, Moraine.
Yeah, show me all your sins. What are you
Yeah.
holding?
Confess to me, my child. Step into this telephone box and tell me what's been going on.
He can respond with Gifts Ungiven because he's got Brawl. It's only 3 mana, and he can Ritual for 3 mana. But then he would lose one of the 2 cards he would get with Gifts Ungiven. But if he doesn't go for Gifts Ungiven, he loses the gifts and he's got nothing left.
Lightning Bolt on the Tidehollow Sculler. And Lightning Bolt on the Devoted Druid as well, leaving Gifts Ungiven and Desperate Ritual. And this means that Voida's hand is looking a lot more like a foot at this stage, Moraine.
Yeah, this is not good news for Jacob. He really needs to draw Past in Flames. It is the one card that brings him back into the game right there. Although there is the Court of Calling, which actually also stops that plan.
What a beating. What a beating for Voida here. And a second Gavany Township off the top for Pasquale means that he's ready to go into the late game. Even this 2-1, pretty anemic on its own, but thanks to a few nights in the Gavany Township, maybe able to beef himself up a bit. Another Devoted Druid coming down here.
Too much disruption from Tony Ramirez Pasquale.
Yeah.
Sin Collector and double Tidehollow Scholar.
Was able to slow him down long enough, and Voida rips a land off the top of his library. The kindness that his deck was showing him seems to have come to an end here.
I wouldn't play the land in case maybe he cybered out remands, but if I would have kept the land to loot with the Baral.
Horizon Canopy gets chucked away here by Pasquale. 1 card in hand, confirming. As we see now, a Collected Company. Oh, sorry, a Court of Calling. Court of Calling for 2. Get out a Vizier of Remedies. And now, the final piece of the puzzle remaining, of course, is the Duskwatch Recruiter, which is in hand, an Eternal Witness. And that's all she wrote today, sports fans. Jakob Voita, unfortunately, after a string of very, very successful draws, Tony Ramirez Pasquale, he had the interaction, he had the disruption, Sin Collector, Tidehollow Scullers, and he got up and about in this game. Really impressive stuff from him.
Yeah, very well played also. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to cyber. Jacob was also playing it very well, but he just didn't get there.
Unfortunately, no.
I think this matchup might actually favor Counter's Company, now that I think more of it. More about it. The Lightning Bolts definitely change it after game 1, but in game 1 I think the Counter's Company is favored, and in game 2 and 3 it might be about even.
Yeah, well, depends exactly, how many interactive cards that both players draw, because by the look of things, cards like Sin Collector, cards like Tidehollow Sculler can really shift the balance of games like this, and very important for them to make some kind of an appearance. So, we are finished with all of our live magic here from the feature match area for this round, round 14, as we draw ever closer to the top 8, my friends. We're going to take a quick break, and on the other side of that, we have Time Walk magic lined up for you, if I'm not much mistaken. So stick around, because on the other side of this, more magic coming your way here from GP Birmingham. Welcome back to the booth here live at GP Birmingham. Riley Knight alongside Moraine Lybear. Great to have you along. Great to have everyone along as ever, my friends. Now, we're going to head into some time walk magic here, and unfortunately, the game itself didn't get off to a great start. We had a deck check between these two players, and unfortunately, one of the players was found to have a few inconsistencies with their deck list, or I'm not exactly sure how it went on, but in any case, a game loss was handed to this player. So we are going to jump straight into game number 2 here. So this is game number 2. Steve Haddo did get up against Michael Parker in game number 1. Unfortunately, Parker did not get through the deck check unscathed. But all the same, we are after game number 2. Now we've got Steve Haddo playing black-green, straight up black-green, against Jeskai Control. So Celestial Colonnade, we haven't seen it win on camera yet this weekend. Been doing exceptionally well, these Celestial Colonnade decks, but not in the feature match area. Will Michael Parker buck the trend? After going down in the first game to a game loss, you would think that perhaps he's not in the best position to do it, but we'll see how things go here.
The curse of the feature match.
And you can see that Michael Parker is under a little bit of pressure here. Now, this is his first ever feature match. He's looking to get himself in the zone. This guy is a local. He's from Liverpool, or just outside of Liverpool, and he's come here and done exceptionally well so far at 11-2. But, of course, everyone remembers their first feature match, Moraine, and it's a big moment for any Magic player here. Steve Haddo, of course, this guy has been up and about in a major way for a long time. He's one of the regulars on the European professional circuit. And Michael Parker, as the local hometown hero, certainly feeling the pressure of his first feature match, and there's no shame in that.
He missed the second land drop. He forgot to play the second land. Oh, that's unfortunate.
He had it in hand, and I think he was just showing it to Steve Haddo here. Unfortunately, Michael Parker is on that tilt, but he'll do his best to get himself back in the game here as we continue on with this time walk match between Haddo and Parker. Black-green rock versus Jeskai. It's like 2015 modern all over again.
Misclick.
Misclick. Oh, yes, the old F6. Oh, dear. Liliana of the Vale coming down. But that's going to get mana leaked here, so Parker's not interested in playing with her. And a Sulphur Falls, so Parker continuing to hit his land drops at least. But this Dark Confident could be a bit of a problem for him as it continues to draw extra cards for Haddo.
He's at 12.
Yeah,
Are we going to see that end? Oh, that would be sweet.
He's taken a bit of a beating off of Bob here. The price of greatness can tend to be pretty high. In comes Robert Marr, the Dark Confident.
Bob Marr.
Excuse me. I think he's even Bob Marr Jr., isn't he?
Robert Marr.
Robert Marr.
It's Robert Doherty and Bob Marr. It's like maybe they played in the finals. That's why you got confused.
No, his name is Robert. His name is literally Robert.
Is it?
Bob is short for Robert.
Wow.
Yeah. Lightning Bolt.
Oh, Bolt you.
Oh, straight at the dome.
He's on the Dark Confident
Here
plan.
we come. Yeah, absolutely. He's going to make him really pay the price of greatness here. Stephen Haddo on the clock, says Michael Parker. Bolt you upstairs. I'm loving this. Kitchen Finks may throw a spanner in that particular works, however.
No, he's got disallow.
Oh, dear. Michael Parker with the technology he needs.
He could even counter the Finks or counter the gain 2.
Or the trigger. Well, just let the 3-2 resolve and prevent the 2 life from happening. Here is Kitchen Finks. Disallowed, says Michael Parker. Now get that out of here, he says. Slapping it away. And the Dark Confident coming in once again to tussle with Michael Parker. He's down to 14, but Haddo down to 6.
5 now.
5 now as we see a Ghost Quarter into the battlefield in addition to whatever is inside this Verdant Catacombs.
Maybe Ghost Quarter the Sulphur Falls? I don't think the Jeskai deck runs on basic mount.
Michael Parker holding a Thundermaw Hellkite in hand. If he has an untapped red source, this is all over Red Rover, and he finds a Sacred Foundry off the top of his deck, and it's Thundermaw Hellkite out of absolutely nowhere. Steve Haddo beaten halfway to death by his own Dark Confident, and then the big dragon getting in for the final points. Moraine Lybear, what a huge twist in the bit of a sting in the tail there for Steve Haddo.
Jeskai Dragons.
Jeskai Dragons, indeed.
That's what he names his deck, actually.
Wow, Michael Parker, after missing his second land drop to accidentally F6ing.
Deck name, Jeskai Dragons.
Well,
I'm
he
not lying.
absolutely got there.
He wasn't lying.
Head into game number 2 now. Spy Bluff Canal powering out. So game number 3, I should say, powering out a Serum Visions. But, geez, once you misclick through your second turn, not playing the land, and all of a sudden, just snagging the W out of nowhere. Steve Haddo hitting all of his straps. Dark Confident coming down for an encore performance here.
Are you sure about that, Steve?
Are you sure about that, he says. Oh, dear. Serum Vision's number 2 for Michael Parker. But, yes, it looks like the cost of greatness was just a little too high for Steve Haddo there as he got... he was unable to stabilise, and of course Thundermaw Hellkite. Jeez, what an emphatic way to end a game there. Michael Parker, such impressive stuff from him. Go for the throat off the top of Haddo's library. Going to ding him for 2 here.
And the second land.
So Haddo continues to develop his mana here. He's got another Dark Confident in hand.
Ooh.
Spin the wheel.
Let's do it again.
Oh, here we go.
Come on, Steve, you can do it.
Marsh Flats.
Don't take 3. Don't do it. He went down to exactly 5 as well with the fetch.
Such a beating. Such a beating. Oh, dear. Wow, super stuff there as we see now a Swamp come in. Still reeling from that play from Parker.
Bazinga.
He came back from it, didn't he? Came back from the... he was obviously under pressure. First feature match, wanting to preserve this record that he's put together here, and he did very well. Fulminator Mages. Going to wreak absolute havoc with Michael Parker. This is not what he wants to see on the draw. Down to 1 land already here.
Yeah, I like cyboarding Fulminator Mages in these kind of matchups.
It's such a beating.
Especially because the win condition is also Celestial Colonnade, so getting rid of it is super important.
And the early Stone Rain can be back-breaking. Parker still stuck on 2 lands. He would have been able to deploy a Geist of Saint Traft that was freshly drawn if that Celestial Colonnade hadn't been blown up by the Fulminator Mage. But as it is, down to 2.
5 gone. 15 to go.
Dark Confidence. The walking Phyrexian Arena. And Tireless Tracker coming down as well for Haddo. He's got a land to follow it up as well. Let's generate a clue token here. And Parker is going to crack open this Flooded Strand. Are we going to see Parker buck the trend? Are we going to see a Celestial Colonnade deck win on camera? No. Straight up.
Not close.
Absolutely not. Okay. All right. Well, thank you for your
Tireless
insight.
Tracker is actually a very good card in this kind of matchup. It generates some... now we... Snapcaster Mage?
Snapcaster Mage coming down for no value here, just as the old Ambush Viper.
Could have blocked Dark Confident if that was the plan. A bit surprised by that play.
Well, Parker committing his 2-1 to the board, and he's going to get in there as well. So he's looking to get very aggressive here.
This man's got a plan.
Yeah. If you can follow it up with this Geist of Saint Traft in his hand, this should put Haddo on the defensive.
Wow,
Haddo
look at that.
considering the block here. That seems insane to me. That seems insane. I mean, he needs to all he needs to do is untap and crack the clue token, and this is going to spell an even bigger problem here because, well, Michael Parker choosing not to play his Geist of Saint Traft. Inquisition of Kozilek as well is threatening to take the Geist out of his hand, but if this seems confusing to me because I'm not sure which player is trying to be more offensive, defensive, attack, block.
Spell Queller.
Spell Queller answers the question here. Okay. So Haddo does have the answer in the form of a Go for the Throat. So he needs to let it resolve, counter the spell, and then cast Go for the Throat in order to snap that Inquisition off here. So the Inquisition is going to happen all the same, and I think we're going to see, look, interesting hand here. Keranos, Path to Exile, Geist of Saint Traft, and a snap there is Tiago Chan.
Strong hand.
Yeah, it's a great hand.
Surprised that the Dark Confident is still living.
Keranos, one of those cards that threatens to just take over the game. The longer it can go unchecked, it's a hugely impactful win condition, but very, very slow.
I think at this point, Steve is regretting taking the blocking the with the Tireless Tracker.
That seems to be very perplexing to me because, of course, all he needs to do is crack the clue, and it goes up to a 4/3 that can immediately block all of the.
I think part of that block was him being afraid of last game because he lost with the Dark Confident there. Just didn't want to take 2 more. Was 14. It was like last game he went down to 8-5 and then lose to the Hellkite.
So looking to preserve his life total, but I think Tireless Tracker could have done a lot more work. He's just taking 2. I mean, that's fine. So Snapcaster is the pick here for Haddo.
And now with Tarmogoyf. I'm liking the scavenger grounds.
Yeah, very nice against, just incidental graveyard hate against the decks.
We saw it last round being very good against Storm.
Geist of St. Traff, followed up by a Celestial Colonnade for Michael Parker.
We could actually see the same thing again. I mean, Dark Confident is 4 on the table. That saves him 4 damage because he can kill the Angel.
Yeah. So, down to 12, Steve Haddo, after drawing that Abrupt Decay.
He's also got the Liliana. That's actually the perfect draw.
That is actually the perfect answer for the Geist of St. Traff. Takes you back to Innistrad Standard.
Yeah. I remember Delver of Secrets being pretty much unbeatable in that format.
That was it, wasn't it? Delver.
Is he going for Witness
Snapcaster.
instead?
Geist of St. Traff. Up to Restoration Angel. Oh, what a deck.
Ugh.
What a deck it was.
Mental misstep.
Oh, yeah. Ponder. We played Ponder in Standard.
Yeah.
Jeez. Cards restricted in Vintage. We were playing 4 copies of it with Delver of Secrets. But no more. Valet Ponder.
Is he thinking about Liliana? Why wouldn't he? I think Liliana is the clear. Seems like the clear play to me. He could, I don't know, get Witness, get back the Inquisition, but that doesn't even get rid of the Keranos.
And this puts a huge clock on Parker as he's hit for 6 down to 5.
Is he gonna play a second Dark Confident? I think Park is at 5. Does he have the Quagmire? So playing the Confident actually gives him lethal together with the Quagmire, even if the Tarmogoyf dies.
What's he going to go for here?
12 takes 5 to 7, so he needs to reveal 7. Is there even that many 4 mana spells? Yeah,
Keranos.
and Keranos is only in the upkeep, right? In your upkeep.
In your upkeep. It does stone cold nothing for an entire turn.
So I think you just play the Dark Confident. You could also sack the Clue. Do you know that Pitting Needle cannot name Clue?
Yes. Simon was very, very emphatic on that point, in fact. Well, Haddo chooses to do stone cold nothing. Parker, Cryptic Command off the top for him. Crack the Clue, draw a card.
What a surprise. We're going to see another Celestial Colony deck lose.
0 damage taken for Dark Confident. All right, mate. A lot of jibber jabber coming from your side of the table here. A lot of yip yap coming from you, Mr. Libert. Still in it.
Yeah,
Still in it.
It's not over.
No, it's not over. Cryptic Command. Anything could happen here.
It's not over till the...
It's not over till the fat lady sings.
That's what you always say, right?
That's the saying.
Yeah.
I think it's saying based in opera of some kind. I'm not the person to ask about this. Path to Exile is going to be a bit of a pressure valve here for the Tarmogoyf.
Problem was that he could not play the Keranos. If he had one mana more, he could play Keranos, Path to Exile, go down to 1, and then have that Keranos active, which is huge. But now, yeah, this is just 2 mana inefficient. I mean, he does have the Cryptic still.
Yeah.
But I think Steve Atoy is going to play 2 threats this turn. 4 is going to activate. Mine. Oh.
Has to discard the Keranos here. He'd already made up his mind about that.
This is pretty bad.
Cryptic Command, the only card in hand here for Parker.
Even the Cryptic does pretty much nothing now. There's a Celestial Colonnade, so there's the very small chance that he gets to attack and then kill him with Dark Confident. But then Steve needs to reveal a very expensive spell.
Well, Haddo now considering committing further to the board. I would imagine whatever he plays is going to get a Cryptic Command.
He should know about the Cryptic Command. I mean, there's no other card. Well, yeah, there is some cards, but discarding Keranos, it certainly signals that he's got something good.
Certainly sends a message.
Is he going to let that Kitchen Finks resolve?
I don't think he can. Cryptic Command in hand for Parker, the only piece of cardboard he's got at the moment. Are they arguing about which mana was tapped to cast it, perhaps?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Oh, it comes in. Okay, gains 4. Gains 2, sorry. Goes up to 14.
His plan is to tap.
Yeah.
Tap twice and hope the Dark Confident kills Steve. Problem with tapping is that he's at 2 and there's the Hissing Quagmire. So even if you tap all the creatures, You just let that resolve if you're Steve, and then afterwards you still get priority before attackers. You tap 3 mana, you activate the Hissing Quagmire, and then you get to attack for 2.
So Michael Parker needs something like a Lightning Bolt as well to deal with that Hissing Quagmire, or indeed something like a Ghost Quarter would do it. But anyway you slice it, Michael Parker with his back against the wall here. Celestial Colonnade decks have done well this weekend, but not in the feature match area. They have struggled, Moraine, it is fair to say.
Even Lightning Bolt wouldn't work because there's the Liliana. So Steve would just up it first, had to discard the bolt.
Yep, and this is what we're going to see here with Haddo taking another 3 from the Dark Confident, but Liliana can clear the way, get this Cryptic Command out of...
Tap bounce the Hissing Quagmire.
That is also a way that he can get through it.
And then top deck Hellkite, put Haddo at 6.
Yep, have him reveal Tasiga, which probably isn't even in his deck. So Cryptic Command tap bounce. Yes, indeed. It's going to resolve here. And Haddo with a full grip discards a Thoughtseize. Not the most useful card when your opponent is hellbent. 6 cards in hand. Can you believe it? That's the power of Dark Confident.
Yeah, this black-green rock deck is well positioned against the control decks. All of these cards are just so good. I mean, Liliana is very hard to handle. Kitchen thinks you have to handle twice. Tireless Tracker generates a clue. Eternal Witness puts a 2/1 body and generates some card advantage. Dark Confident, as we see. Just all of these cards generate a lot of card advantage. And if there's one thing that Control doesn't want to see, it is threats together with card advantage.
Parker, down to 1. Haddo on 11.
So Cryptic after Cryptic after Cryptic, die to your own Dark Confident, but then he's just going to kill his own Dark Confident.
Yeah. Yeah, he can target himself with the Liliana ability to get rid of it. There doesn't seem to be a way out for Michael Parker. The curse of the Colonnades continues. The coverage curse Colonnades.
CC.
That's right. Okay. Away goes the clue. Steve Haddo draws off it. Dark Confident triggers. Going to take another 2 down to 9. So unless Michael Parker has something very special up his sleeve, discard a card. It is a Steam Vents. Discard, extension of the hand, and Steve Haddo gets it done in game number 3 after an improbable victory, you would have to say, Moraine, as we welcome you back to the booth. An improbable victory in game number 2, missing